honestly just want to get with my friends and talk about them, their stories, their lives, their challenges, and how they overcame them. I just want to get to know them on a deeper level, and of course we're gonna laugh. I mean, that's what we do. But I want them to feel that someone listened. And that's it. This is the Barr+Friends podcast, where it's my space, your story, 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 your story.
Barr+Friends, what's going on today? I actually have a returning guest, my first returning guest. On Barr+Friends. I want to give you guys a woman of God, a wife, mother, life coach, speaker, entrepreneur, was a poet, not anymore. I'm just kidding. Guys, for the second time, and I'm trying to make her be more of a consistent guest on the Barr+Friends. We're gonna talk about that off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach K, how are you?
Hello, Christian. Hey, Barr+Friends. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me back. I know the first conversation was top tier. It was top tier. And Barr+Friends, let me just clear the air, okay? He has not yet asked me to be a consistent guest while he's over here capping. But we gonna keep it going.
I got you.
Yeah, you just slid down in there.
I just wanted to point out the elephant in the room. You are preggers, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's showing all in my face. I turned the camera on like, ooh, okay. It's chicken, getting a little chubby here in the
I
cheeks, but
see.
that's all
Okay.
right.
So congratulations to that, for
Thank you.
sure. And
Thank
this
you.
is baby number 2, right?
This is baby number 2, yes.
Wow. That is what's
Yeah.
up. Boy or girl?
Well, I feel like that's, to like the average person, that's like such a simple question, right? But I don't find out boy or girl until November 5th. So in about a month, I'll know for sure. But the fun fact about this baby is 11 months ago. Well, actually, it's been a year ago now because it's October. The Lord actually was the one who told me, "You're going to carry a son." And I was like, "Are you sure? Like, is that a thing? Like, you can just say that?"
Okay, Mary. All right.
Okay, because I thought I was tripping, and that was probably like the first person that I thought about. I was like, wait a minute. I said, wait a second. I said, Lord, you might have the wrong one, because if you need a divine savior, I'm not sure. But I just remember being in church,
Mhm.
and it was during like praise and worship, and I'm, just praying to myself. And like, it was just such an intrusive thought. It was just like, you're going to carry a son. And I was like, what? I know that was you, Lord, because I wouldn't dare think of something like that to tell myself. Like, that was nowhere near the mind, the brain, or anything. But in that moment, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to finish praying because I was trying to talk to you, sir. Like, I'm just going to finish praying. I mean, and at this point, there's nothing I can do because you've already said it.
Right. No, for sure.
You've already
Absolutely.
said it. It's already in motion. I don't know when it's going to happen, but here we are a year later, and I am 4 months pregnant. Yep.
Now, do you and hubby want more kids after this, or is
Oh
2?
no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. We are solid. We are solid. I have 2 bonus children. So I have a bonus daughter. She's 13, and I have
Okay.
a bonus son. He's 10. And then hubby and
Okay.
I together, we have our 4-year-old daughter, and then now little man that's on the way. I'm just gonna say boy. The Lord says boy. He don't
Hey.
lie. So that's just what I'm rolling with.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, so
Now,
we're good.
okay, for sure. I know that I'm a little bit late to the game, and you're probably gonna say no because you're probably gonna say something that I know you're probably gonna say after I say what I'm gonna say to you. So I'm a little bit late to the game. I got married. Next month is gonna be 1 full year of me married
Oh, I
to
love that.
the wife. So yes,
I love it.
but of course, it was for all my life. It was okay. So when are you gonna get married? To now, it's like okay. So when you having kids? And I'm like, y'all,
Mm-hmm.
chill. And so I just turned 39 last month, and my wife's is she's 38. And so
Mm-hmm.
of course, we're hearing hey, y'all, you need to hurry this up. Like y'all need to start having babies. I'm just like, y'all, chill, man, chill. And I think that honestly, because I'm an only child, so I've kind of
Mm,
been by myself the majority of my life. I mean, of course, I've went on dates and I have friends,
right.
but I've just been a loner. And so I guess in a sense, well, first and foremost, I want to be able to spend more time with my wife. Because I know that
Yeah.
when kids get into the mix, because I have a stepson, I love my
Mm-hmm.
stepson, but it's like, when kids get into the mix, they are the focus.
That's it. Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to just squeeze as much time as I can with us before we, bring more children into the world. But I know, the clock is ticking and everyone's, wanting to, for us to
Just go ahead,
make it
right?
happen. But I mean, I'm ready, but I just want to be able to enjoy my wife a little bit more. And then we'll go on ahead and start, you know.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. How's your wife feeling?
Oh, she's like, listen, whenever you ready, whenever you are ready. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I think honestly, I have a little something like planned. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to just go ahead and just give the tea today. I have something planned, like a vacation, like a little mini vacation next month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think after that, like, hey, listen, let's go on ahead and make it do what it do. So yeah.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
But listen. I don't want you to be or to think that, I mean, because that's a common misconception too, right? Is that yes, kids take a lot of time, especially the first 2 years of their life. It is a lot, but that's when you really get down to the core of what's important.
Hmm.
And that's just when you realize how much fluff you have to cut out of your life, right? Because you don't necessarily, like, I know before I had kids, I had no idea how much I was procrastinating and how much fluff I had in my life until I had no choice but to narrow down and prioritize my time, when I had a kid.
Right.
So that's really all it is. Like, in my opinion, it just cuts all the BS.
Right. Yeah.
Everything that's unnecessary, everything that's extra, everything that you thought was important, everything that, I mean, it cuts all of that. So when you have kids on top of, having your spouse and you're trying to prioritize time with your spouse and prioritize time with your kid one-on-one and prioritize time as a family and get your alone time in, it seems daunting and it seems like a lot and it seems impossible, but it is absolutely not. Are you going to be able to be as spontaneous as you want, day to day with your spouse? No, but
Right.
that's okay. The biggest thing I can tell you is plan. Number one, plan. Plan.
Mm.
Y'all can already agree ahead of time right now. Once a month, y'all are absolutely going to take, a date night for yourselves. And that's something that you stick to every single month. Um, don't negate the little moments that you have in the house or throughout the day or throughout the week. Don't negate those little moments. Pay attention to your windows and your openings and take full advantage of them. Like, for
Mm.
example, like on Tuesdays, I know my husband gets home early. I'm usually here. I don't go to work until later. And we take advantage of that window of time.
Right.
And while my daughter's in school. So it's like you kind of have to just go with the ebbs and flow of life. And it gets easier because the thing is, like, time really does fly with kids. It flies by so fast. Like, the fact that my daughter is 4 drives me, I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, how did you just, like, all of a sudden you can carry on full blown conversations and you have full understanding of so many things. And it's like, but you were just, and we were just, and I was just like, how? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And it's so easy to say, oh, don't take that time for granted and all that stuff, but it's harder when you're in it.
Man.
But all you have to do is just remember that just because you and your wife are not spending as much time and the focus has shifted to the baby, one, there is no love lost between the two of you.
Mhm.
There is no loss of spark between the two of you.
Right.
Because that was something that, like, I've seen my husband kind of like question when Zara was little. And even myself is like, dang, are we gonna make it? And I remember like just being honest. Just
Yeah.
being honest. And like I remember clearly telling him, first of all, my heart goes out to single moms. Jesus. Single moms, my heart goes out to them tenfold. Because I remember clearly being in the thick of it and thinking like, how do people do this by themselves? That was my first question. And number two, my other thought was like, I can 100% see why couples don't make it past this stage. 100%. I can clearly see it. It's in my face and I see exactly why they don't make it. I can see it.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? But like,
Wow.
blessed enough for me, I was aware enough to know that thought and to process and see it to be able to react a different way. Whereas most people aren't as aware. And so they just go with the emotions of it all and they end up separating or splitting and all those other things. So it's like, I see you. I'm not going to let you win though. We just going to have to work harder.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, long-winded answer, of course. I always have a long-winded answer. I hope you didn't expect anything less.
No.
But all in all, just know it just comes with being intentional with your spouse. Being intentional with your spouse, the best thing that you can do when your wife is having a baby, pregnant, or you guys are in the infancy stage is just be there for her in the way that she needs. Because it's going to be tough. And that postpartum period was the period that made me question whether or not I was going to have another kid. So when the Lord told me that, I was like, are you sure? It wasn't the pregnancy.
Right.
It wasn't any of that. But that postpartum phase had me like, I don't want to do this again. There's no way I'm doing this again.
Wow.
So just be there in support of her. Know that it's not about you. It's also barely about her. It's about the baby, but it's also like, ooh, everybody needs some extra loving right now, and nobody's tank is full. So just show up the best way that you possibly can. And that's it. Just be intentional. Just be there. There's no love lost. It'll come back.
Who you got? Who you
Jesus.
who you got?
That was my answer.
Trump or Harris?
Well, it's not Trump.
Listen, do you know? And I mean, of course, I realize it's in like the last 5 or 6 years, but it's crazy on how people just can't come together because of a difference of opinions or a
Yeah.
difference of votes. I was talking to someone and we got into the conversation of politics.
Mm-hmm.
And so homegirl was like, so who you got? I said, well, I'm just gonna let you know. I got da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just like, oh my gosh, as a Christian man, I can't believe that you would just support this and that. And
Ooh, I got so much.
and I'm like, I hear you and I understand you, but at the same time, it's like, Well, who you got isn't Jesus either.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just but in that conversation, Kay, I felt just, I wasn't angry. It was more of just a disappointment
There
because
it
I
is.
told her, I said, I'm not trying to get into a debate with you.
Mm-hmm.
You ask me, I ask you, and that's it. But that shouldn't take away our love for Jesus and how we can be able to come together as kingdom minded people to impact change and to bring change into the world. Like,
It doesn't make sense. But you just said it. Kingdom minded.
right,
Kingdom minded. Kingdom minded. Kingdom minded is a mindset. It is a lifestyle. It is your entire essence. It's your being. You either are or you are not. And I think my biggest thing with this election is, like you said, yeah, neither one of them are Jesus, period.
right,
Neither one of them are Jesus. They are both flawed human beings. Neither one are perfect. And neither one are perfect for office. There's no way one person can appease the billions of people in this country. That's number one. But also, I mean, and it's been like that for the past few years where we're having to choose between the lesser of the evils.
right,
No one's views are going to completely and 100% align with another individual's views. I mean, and even like when you have your spouse, y'all's views don't align. And I'm not necessarily talking about politics, but y'all don't agree 100% on every single thing.
come on.
And y'all are the closest that you can possibly be. Like you're as close as a person can get to another person. So my thing is, my biggest upset, I'll say, comes from, my biggest upset comes from people wanting to be political one minute, but then wanting to be Christian the next. And I'm not, and that's not to say, come back. You know, it's like certain supporters want to be Christian when it benefits the narrative or when it benefits the conversation, and that disturbs me. Because if you're a Christian all across the board.
Right,
That's period. Again, a Christian is what? Someone who follows Christ, that follows the teachings of Christ. It's not that difficult. So, in their efforts to respectfully disagree comes a lot of judgment. That's not Christ-like. In their efforts to persuade you to vote for someone who I can't even tell you if they've truthfully read 5 pages of the Bible. Because if so, it just doesn't make sense in my head. Okay.
right,
But, and I'm not even going to go into a lot of those things because, like, everybody's misguided. Everybody. Everyone's misguided. Period. But what really, 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 really upsets me or disturbs me is just how people go so hard for political candidates in the name of it aligning with their Christian viewpoints, which actually more so religious viewpoints, um, and going harder for the political candidate than they actually do the Lord.
right.
It's like you guys are ready to go so hard for this candidate, and even to the point of war. Jesus does not incite violence or war. He never has. That's not who he is. So if you're following somebody who incites violence within you or the others who follow them, like it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And being a Christian, nobody's perfect. Nobody's a perfect Christian. I'm not holier than thou. Nobody is. But are you trying? Is there an effort on your behalf? Are we reading the same book? Are we communicating with the same God? Or do we just know what we know based off of like religious principles? Do you know the spirit though? Because if you know the spirit, like you know a man by their fruits, you know a person by their fruits. Nobody, you can't come to me and just be like, oh yeah, me and God are tight. Because I'm going to look at everything.
Mm.
It shows. And again, nobody's perfect. We all fall short. We all make mistakes. We all slip up here and there. But it's like, but what does your track record say? What's your consistency? When you slip up, what do you do? Do you keep going? Or do you correct? Do you repent? Do you like all these other things? How do you treat people? Jesus, how do you treat the dog? I mean, it's just like the simple things like that. How do you treat the server at the restaurant?
Right.
How do you treat the homeless person you just walk past? Not saying that you have to give them $1 every time, but do you just turn your nose up in disgust because you don't know how they got this far and they should have a job and all these other things? You don't know their story. Or do you look at them with empathy? Like it's just those fruits of the spirit. It's those heart. It's the heart posture. So I personally,
Mm.
I don't get into politics.
Nope.
Typically, when people ask, I just say that I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna start saying that.
And I mean, and that's just because it's like you're asking because you're hoping that I say an answer that agrees with yours. You're already asking from the wrong stance. You're not literally curious. You're just asking in hopes that I agree with you. And chances are I'm probably not. And then we're going to get into a whole debate and you're going to try to convince me. And I'm not going to convince you to follow anybody but Jesus. If I'm going to convince you to follow somebody, it's going to be the Lord. I'm not about to go hard for these people. What do I look like? Convincing you to follow them is just going to lead you into sin, baby. I'm not doing that. You can choose who you want to choose. I'm going to choose who I want to choose. And it's going to be that. But that's just what it's going to be. That's going to be it. I'm going to choose because I have to.
Right.
Per my voting rights. But other than that, I don't have any go hard in me for them.
Right. No, absolutely.
So,
I love what you just said a few moments ago about how you have people going hard for these candidates, but can't even crack open a Bible throughout the week.
yeah.
See, I it's crazy how you just said that because I was driving to a coffee shop. What was it? It was Wednesday, and of course, you see, all the signs of, what people are voting for and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yes.
it would be, and I don't even call it goosebumps. I call it the anointing that came over me. I had this thought of, Lord, if we were so passionate and so hungry for a move of God, like we are for, the election season.
A presidential savior to save this country. Man, I just remember
Mm.
I don't know what story in the Bible it is because again I'm not a Bible scholar myself. I read it more often than I don't though. But I just remember like the people wanting a king and God is telling them like you don't need a king, but they wanted one so bad.
Yes.
They wanted one
Yes.
so bad and God is like, you know what? Fine. Here's the person, and drove them straight to hell. But it's like, but this is what
Exactly.
you wanted. And I can't help but think about that when people are going so hard for, like presidential candidates. It's like, man, out of these billions of people, we're trying to appoint one person to get it right. And the only person who can get it right is God. But I love that you said it. If we were just so hungry for him, for a move of God, if we were just hungrier for that, all of us, or at least the majority even of us, if we were so hungry for that, like we are for somebody to save this country, it would be a different world. It'd be a different world. I was very proud. I was driving through my neighborhood and I see, all the signs of all the different people. And I
Right.
saw one little sign in some person's yard and it just said, Jesus is my savior. And it was like in the blue and white, it literally looked like a presidential candidate sign. So I was reading all of the signs, just trying to see what the
Right.
majority was.
Right.
And I saw that one and I said, that's the one. That's it. It's like Jesus is my savior. Yeah,
Right.
I vote for Jesus. I
Uh,
vote for Jesus. And I'm not going to let anybody down by not voting. But you get
right.
my overall point.
I get your point.
It's Jesus. Because can't
Right.
nobody else save us.
Kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Diddy situation. I, this is why, and I think that because I'm not a Bible scholar either, but I think there's like verses in the Bible where it talks about like putting your trust, just like the election, putting your trust in man
Mm-hmm.
that are sinners, that are
They'll inevitably
imperfect.
let you down. Yeah.
Right. And this is the sad part here. Because it's like, and this is how I'm looking at it, okay? Because it's like, this man has impacted culture for years now.
Mm-hmm.
From Bad Boy to putting artists on like Mary J. Blige and Biggie, all of them, and it's it's crazy. And honestly, this whole Diddy situation has made me go on my knees more because it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's a fallen man, just like we are. But the
Yeah.
thing is I don't want to, because I'm not saying that I'm going to be like Diddy and impact people's lives, or maybe I
Yeah.
have but don't know it, but it's like I don't want to do so many things for God for years, serving him and serving people and loving on people and doing things for his kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
and then come to find out that my character is in question. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all that I think about. I mean, yes, having him, all these freak offs and what he did to Cassie, horrible. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, as a man of faith, as a man of God, I'm thinking to myself, that's sad on how you put in all of 20, 30 years of your life into music, into fashion, into so many things, to now you're behind bars. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
tough. That is tough, but I think one of the key differences, and I obviously don't know Diddy.
Right.
I don't know him, so I can't say whether or not he's a man of God or not.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But again, you know a person by their fruits too.
Come on.
And so I can't say if anything's true or not true. As a woman, what he did to Cassidy, Cassie, what he did to Cassie, it's like, oh, okay,
Right.
you got some things you need to work on, but aside from like all the detail, things that are done in secret
Mm-mm.
and in the dark come to light. So you have to be mindful of what you're doing. You have to be mindful, like, is the work that you're doing glorifying God? Are you doing this for the kingdom, or is this for, yourself? Is it for greed? Whatever the case is, I don't know this man from the next one. I don't. But all I can say, I mean, it sucks. It does suck to go out like that. But then it's also like, did you reap what you sowed? We can't answer that truthfully either. We don't know. Did you reap what you sowed? Did you make your bed and now you have to lie in it?
Mm.
Like, were you doing things, and then, by grace, 20, 30 years of impact because it's bigger than you. But now it's time to, reap what you sow. Or, I mean, we don't know.
Right.
And so there are so many things that I like really don't speak on because it's anything that comes out of my mouth would be like judgment or guessing
Right.
because I don't know.
You don't know. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, if he did what he did, it's like, oh my gosh, I could say shame on you, but then it's like, who am I to judge you? And it's like it'd be a sad thing if it is true.
Right.
Horrible. But again, we all got stuff. We all got stuff. Some seems worse than others, but in the eyes of God, it's like, nope, y'all all suck. Y'all all suck. And then we also have to think too, like, because he's so big, like in the industry, and he's so huge in the public eye, and all these other things. The higher you go, the harder you fall because you're in front of everybody. You're in front of the world, and that's a daunting thing to think about. Like I think about that too. It's like, you get big and you do impact all these people, but then like everything is public. There is no private fall. You fall out loud. If you fall, you fall out loud. But I think that keeping God first, literally holding fast to Him and His guidance, there is a grace and a covering that will be over you that no man can penetrate. You can rise and be in the public and be covered by God if, in fact, what you're doing is to glorify and honor Him.
That was a word. That's good.
And so, if you in like the entertainment Hollywood industry, like there's so much talk about what goes on in the industry and how it's just completely corrupt and it's all these other things and it's demonic and it's this and it's that. I don't know. I don't have no thoughts. And I remember even being little saying like, I don't want to be famous. I just want to like, I would like to be well known for the works that I do, the good works that I do. But I don't want to be famous. Because fame and just being, having recognition for things, I'm not going to say it's different because that ultimately you are inevitably going to be famous for it.
Right.
But there's such a different connotation with fame that comes to mind for me. So politics and Diddy, politics and celebrity is just low key off my plate because I don't know nothing. I do not know enough. I do not know enough to choose a side, and I don't know enough to make a judgment call.
Oh no. I just wanted just to discuss this with another believer
Yeah.
because I've had to keep all this to myself. I'm like, well, who can I be able just to not pass judgment, but just to, kind of measure this up with the word of God. And yeah, honestly, it all goes back to how you live. How you live behind closed doors.
That's
your character,
it.
your
That's
integrity.
it. That is it. There are more people who do great things behind closed doors outside of the public eye than there are people who do great things in the public eye. You can have one person in the public eye make one big grand gesture that like helps so many people. And it's like, ooh, I've been doing that since I was 2. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like there are so many people who do great things every day because they're living truly from the heart posture of I want to serve God. It's like that's what they do, as opposed to just the one person in the public eye doing that one big thing, and then it's like, all right, now I can go back to doing whatever I was doing.
Right.
So And that's really my only question is like, man, do you know the Lord? And I'm not going to say maybe he doesn't because of everything that's going on with him or
Right.
like some of the footage and evidence that's been released.
Right.
All we can do as believers is like pray for these people.
Right.
We just got to pray for him. Pray for him. Pray for everybody impacted by him, impacted or affected.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Mm.
is Lord have your way?
No, sure. Now, one last question about Diddy, and then we'll go into the final topic that I am excited to talk to you about. With Diddy, and we don't really know, we just know the charges, but like with Diddy being charged for all of these things. Now, I don't know, if you were a big fan of his music, but like, okay, give you an example. When R. Kelly got convicted of that, oh no, you getting off my playlist. I'm done. I love you. I pray for you, but we not playing no R. Kelly because
Right.
I just think that there's just standards.
There's a lot of cancel. What
Right.
do you got? Cancel culture.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question to you is, Kay, is if you do have some music of Diddy in your music playlist, like,
Mm-hmm.
do you keep it? Are you still going to listen to it? Like, what are your thoughts on just him as an artist? And are you still going to rock with him as an artist?
To be truthful, I really don't think I have any Diddy on my playlist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't think I have any. I honestly don't think I have any. I do know I have R. Kelly still in there.
Okay.
I haven't deleted anything, like gone out my way to delete stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I think was challenging
Okay.
is if I just want to paint a picture here.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a person, like let's say there's this one person who's like completely off the chain, they're terrible, they need to be in jail, all
Right.
these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then let's say they just save this woman from jumping off a bridge.
Right.
I'm not saying the good, no, the good does not negate the bad, but it's like the impact that that person had in that lady's life is completely different than the impact that that man has had on his victims' lives or whatever he's been doing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
And it's the same in relationships, or like everybody has this horrible narrative about their ex,
Mm.
right? But then there are some people who are like, I don't see him like that. Like I can't see him like that. Like he's done this or he's done that or he's a great person or whatever the case is, but in your life, he's a monster. And that's why it's not so black and white. Like, I don't know. R. Kelly's music or Diddy's music probably got somebody through like one of the worst periods of their life.
That's true.
So
That's
to
true.
them, they're probably not going to delete it because it's like, man, like that was the song that got me through. Like, I can't delete that. That doesn't necessarily mean I support what he did.
Right.
But like on a personal, emotional level, that one song that he did do impacted me significantly. You know? So, I mean, then that's kind of like a broad spectrum, but that's like for people who want to like delete it, okay, cool, delete it. For people who don't, okay, cool, don't. I don't know.
Right.
You know, like maybe their music saved you from actually being in the streets when you were young. So like that was your idol. You look up to him and it's like, man, you disappointed me. You disappointed me real hard with everything that you did, but I also can't overlook what you did do for me. It's like somebody having a kid who did a horrible thing and now they're in jail, and it's like, why did you do that? But you're my son or you're my daughter. Like, what you did was horrible. I don't agree at all. But does that mean I don't love you still?
Mm.
I'm still going to love you. I can't just erase that like I can erase you off my playlist. But like I
Yeah.
can't just erase that. I'm
Right.
pissed at what you did because I expected better from you. But
Mm.
I don't love you any less because at the end of the day, you're still who you are in my life to me. And that's why it's hard for me to like really get into these because it's like, man, one, you just don't know, but it's also not as black and white as people make it to a certain degree. To a certain
Right.
degree. Now, situations be going on with kids, that's hard for me. That's a little difficult.
Right.
It's
Right.
very, 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 very difficult. Especially having kids. It's like, oh, I would, but it's tough. And everybody has their different views. As always, it's hard. It's hard to just take a full blown hardcore stance on something that we will never know 100% full detail about.
Right. On a more of a lighter note, in your in our last pod that we pod together, and if you're listening, please stop, put this on pause, and go and check our first pod because that one was good because you went more into your testimony and your life experiences. But
Yeah.
in that pod, you were talking about this is the month, and this is why I planned it out this way. That this was the month where, and help me out because I think I'm on the right track, but help me with the wording where you surrendered your heart to God again.
Yeah. Yep. 2 years ago in this month.
So how has that been? And I mean, I know we'll be here all day talking about it, but oh Lord.
I promise I'll try to give you a quick answer. I'll try my best.
But I just wanted to pick this month because I wanted to celebrate that with you because what God does what God does in the life of a believer is just unbelievable,
Yeah.
and you are a true testament of that. And so I just wanted to know, just like, what has kept you? And I know that your fire has gone out a few times,
Oh, for
but
sure.
but
What,
what
like last month? Listen.
but what
Listen.
but what has like kept your hunger for God and his word? I mean, I guess being put in situations like
Mhm.
you're a mom,
Yeah.
and you're a wife. And so I think that those two things would cause you or propel you to be like, oh no, like I need the Lord today because I can be able just to go off.
Okay.
For real. So it's kind of like, like what has been your experiences over the last 2 years, just, reconnecting or rekindling your connection with God
Mm,
again.
man, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna have to journal about that one, honestly.
Mm,
Cause that's not something that I've thought about. I take
hmm.
every day kind of as it comes.
Right.
And like some days, I go off. I still go off. I get convicted for it, but I go off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go, yeah, yeah. It's not a perfect walk and never will be a perfect walk because, again, we are flawed human beings. But again, you miss that. It's about what you do
Right.
after you messed up, you know? It's about being consistent.
Hmm.
Um, oh, what has kept me? I guess just knowing that through it all, he is still good. He is
Mm,
still the God who spoke to me 2 years ago in October when I was just at the end of it all. He is still that same God. And so sometimes it's you lose it or you get into a pit. Like I said, I was just in one. I was just in one like a little less than 3 weeks ago. I'm talking about it's that recent. For at least a month, I was in a pit.
Dang.
Yeah. Because it's still hard for us to wrap our minds around everything that God does and everything that God is doing. And it's hard for us to see past the now and see past the where we are when God has a fully loaded plan for you. And you're never going to be able to see all of it. You're just going to have to walk through it and take a step at a time until you get there. And so what got me in my pit, I'll say that, because that'll better explain like how I was able to come back around, to
Okay.
the
Yeah.
fire again, right? Is I'll be 30, I'll be turning 30 in January. 30 is a big milestone birthday. I've never been like afraid of 30, right? I've always kind of been excited for 30.
Mm-hmm.
But then it hit me. Something just hit me like a bus. Like, oh, wait a minute. Sis, you about to be 30 with two, technically four kids. You still ain't where you want to be. You still got this to do. You're not even close. Like all these thoughts, right? All of these things. And it's like, and now, you're carrying another baby. So that's liable to put you on pause for like another 2 years and this and that and just so many things. And I let it consume me 100%. I let it consume me.
Wow.
And ooh, I was like, God, and I just had to it was, again, you have to get honest with him. You have to get honest with him. I felt what I was feeling for some weeks, and then I got honest with him because I remember that's what I did, in the first place. That's how we got close.
Right.
Is I was honest with him. And I just remember thinking to myself, it's like, you're thinking of all these things in your head, but you have yet to one, say it out loud, and you have yet to really bring it to God. Yes, he knows your heart. Yes, he knows your thoughts, but you have yet to confront him about it. You have yet to talk to him about it.
Right.
And so I'm just like, all right, Lord, here are my honest feelings, okay? Now I have a better reverence for God. So it wasn't as crazy as it was the first time.
Right.
But I was just like, Lord, I feel as though I am watching everything you said I would become just dissipate and slip away. And it feels like you are writing a completely new narrative for my life that I just have to be okay with. And I don't know how to do that yet. I don't know how to just straight up be okay with that yet.
Right.
You know? And it's like, and then of course there was so much guilt because I'm like, I shouldn't feel like this. Is like, I'm super excited. I'm so excited for this baby. But then to also compare it with what I was feeling and knowing what it all comes with, there was also like oh my gosh, like what? And that guilt, like mom guilt, first of all, eats you alive. That's number one. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things because I was like, I feel like I should be more excited than I am. Or it's like I'm saying I'm excited, but is that a genuine excitement? I had to get so honest, even with like the ugly part. Of like, I'm excited, but,
Right.
you know? And I let that consume me. I let that really just take me away. And I had to tell him, it's like, how am I going to become, this person that you've placed in my heart since I was a little girl, that you sent me this vision over and over and over again on a repeat? How am I supposed to become that? But this is my reality right now. How am I supposed to do it? How am I supposed to do it? Give me the playbook. If you just tell me, or if you just show me, or if you just give me some little inkling of how it can be done, then I can be okay. But right now, I don't see it. I don't see nothing. So now what do I do? Now where do I go? Now who do I become? Because it can't be that. There's no way I can be that.
Right.
And it just kind of took me for a loop. I'm like, I'm about to be 30 and now I have no vision. I've never not had vision. There's no point in my life where I did not have vision. But in this season, Christian, vision is day to day. When it comes to the future, it's a little foggy. Sometimes it's just black. I don't see nothing. And that is insane to me. It's like, Lord, you did not create me like this. So I'm having a hard time accepting that this is who I am now. Is this what it's going to be? Because I can't do it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
And, oh, I said I was going to make it quick. Okay. All right. So anyways, but I had to, ultimately, all it took was that conversation for me to have that conversation with him. To vent to him, more or less. She's like, yeah, I know you feel like that, but you know, this is the plan right now. And if you could just trust me. And that's the thing, because the uh-oh. But
Yeah.
I remember the beginning of the year, my word for this year was radical faith. And boy, when I tell you he is taking me to an entirely new level of faith, he is doing it. Radical faith is just like faith no matter what. And that's what I'm having to literally live out. He's making me stand on what I said. I said radical faith, he said bet. And
Wow.
now I'm over here crying. But and then I went to Texas last weekend? No, weekend before last, to the Sarah Jakes Women Evolve Conference, and that brought me back from the dead.
Okay.
It was such a revival, and it just reminded me and everything that all the women were talking about in their testimony. And Sarah Jakes Roberts, she's like one of my, I don't want to say idols, but you know, she's someone that I look up to in doing what she does. And she has 5 kids. And she has this big conference with 40,000 women that she's impacting. And now she's in school again? How dare I complain? How dare I question how the heck I'm going to be this person? And I'm watching these people every day who have more on their plate than I do. And not to say that it negates, you know, how I feel or invalidates how I feel, because it's still very real to me. But I'm just like, girl, that is inspiring. And you get up off your butt, because what you got going on is very minor. And they were talking about, and the whole thing of the conference was surrender.
Right. Ooh.
And that was the whole thing that put me in my pit, was that I could not surrender to what God was taking me through in this season. I had to surrender. And then I heard God tell me, it's like, just because it's not happening right now does not mean I won't still do it. I have a living, breathing word of God growing in my womb. His word is faithful. And that was another thing that took me. His word is faithful. His word is so solid. A year ago, he told me I would carry a son. And here I am carrying what I'm pretty sure is a son. When God says something, he stands on it. God gave me that vision. He showed me the vision. He told me what it was. He's going to stand on it. It may not be now, last year, next year. It may not be for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But does that mean he's not going to do it? He's still going to do it. I just need to walk through the seasons that he has me in every moment. And I have to be okay with that. Because that was another thing. I was trying to control the time, and it's not on my time. So I had a timeline in my head. And this whole season made me realize, like, I'm really trying to operate on my time and not his. That's why you in the pit. You trying to control what he's trying to do. It's like, okay, God, you said this, so I would like to have this done in the next 2 years. Well, now you're carrying a baby, and mentally, postpartum wise, you're not going to be yourself for another 2 years.
Wow.
So, I'm going to stick a pin in that. And that was the thing that took me. I was like, dang, mentally, I ain't even going to be right for 2 years. How am I supposed to get it done in 2 years? And, and again, who knows what the Lord to do? That might not even be my same experience.
Right.
I'm thinking from my past experience. When God is calling me to a new faith, a new experience, a new season, like, and why am I imposing my past on that? Because I can only go from what I know, but his thoughts are not my thoughts. They're higher. And that's why he's the boss.
Yeah.
That's why he's the boss.
Yeah.
So all in all, what kept me, or what brought me back, is to think about where you were. When the pastor at my church, one of the pastors at my church always said, like, when you find yourself in a spiritual rut or in a downfall, you feel like you've gone off course, just retrace your steps. Remember where you started, remember where you were, remember how you got to, how you got this far. And mine was always honest conversations with God, remembering what he did, remembering what he brought me through. So, and now I'm good. Now I'm great. I still be like, what you doing? But now I'm more relaxed about it. Now I'm more relaxed about it. Now I can kind of just flow with it a little better. Because it ain't perfect. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you once again just for coming back on, and we will do this again.
And
And I appreciate you. Thank you for your honesty, your transparency, all of that. And yeah, we're praying for that baby boy that's in your womb.
thank you.
For sure. And thank you for stopping by again on Barr+Friends. I appreciate you.